The Solana network went down. All transactions were paused, and this caused the price of Solana to go as low as $145 per coin. And this is not a good thing. This is the last thing that you want to happen with a blockchain. There's a lot of commotion right now in the crypto community, and everyone's wondering, is the party over for Solana? Now, what I'm going to tell you in this video is going to upset a lot of people. It's going to upset Solana fans, Bitcoin maximalists, Ethereum maximalists, and many others as well. Let's get into the content. Welcome aboard the Bitcoin Express. My name is Chase. Let's get to it. On September 14th, Solana sent out a tweet stating that the Solana Mainnet Beta encountered a large increase in transaction load, which peaked at 400,000 transactions per second. These transactions flooded the transaction processing queue, causing the network to start forking, and in response, the validator community elected to coordinate a restart of the network. And the immediate criticism was, this is the definition of centralization. You have a network and you simply pause it and you can restart it. This is not a good thing. This is not what you would want with a blockchain. And something I want to point out, by the way, is that 400,000 transactions per second is extremely high. To put this into context, Visa does about 1,700 transactions per second, and Solana is really geared to do about 50,000 transactions per second. So some are looking at this number as maybe a bullish sign that they were able to get up to 400,000 TPS before there actually was a crash, before things actually went down. And by the way, the reason why we have transaction fees in blockchain is so that we can't spam a network. If there were no transaction fees, bots can just spam a network without anything to lose. So this is why we have transaction fees. And of course, I don't want to make an excuse here. This is not a good thing that happened to Solana. So is Solana centralized? Well, relative to Bitcoin and Ethereum, the simple answer is yes. And it's not really specifically Solana, but basically every cryptocurrency is centralized relative to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the reason why Bitcoin and Ethereum are decentralized is because of time. In the early stages, Bitcoin and Ethereum were very centralized, but over time they have grown and they have become decentralized. You cannot copy decentralization. Often I'll be asked the question, well, can someone just copy the Bitcoin code or the Ethereum code? And the answer is yes, you can copy the code, but you can't copy the network. You can't copy the decentralization feature. So this is the first part that is going to upset Solana fans, right? Solana compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum is relatively centralized. But wait, there's more. Let me explain, give me a chance. And by the way, the Solana network is back up. A tweet came out on September 15th stating the Solana validator community successfully completed a restart of Mainnet Beta after an upgrade. dApps, block explorers, and supporting systems will recover over the next several hours. I do think it's funny that they call it a Mainnet Beta, right? A Mainnet Beta seems just like a test net with real money, but whatever, that's a different story. So this is the Mainnet Beta. So of course, that means there's going to be more problems likely, because that's really what happens when you're dealing with a system that is in beta. So I probably upset a lot of the Solana fans, but now we're going to move over to the Bitcoin fans. And by the way, guys, I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin. The name of this channel is the Bitcoin Express, but we can't deny the past. On August 8th, 2010, there was a major Bitcoin bug that caused a block to contain 92 billion Bitcoin. Big problem. Bitcoin is only supposed to have 21 million Bitcoin. Yet there's a block with 92 billion Bitcoin. So what happened? The fix was the Bitcoin equivalent of dying in a video game and restarting from the last save point. The community simply hit undo. So this was in 2010. Bitcoin was only created in 2009. So these were the early days. It was centralized. They simply hit a undo button. Bitcoin has 99.98% uptime. So where is that remaining 0.02%? When was Bitcoin down? Well, in 2013, there was a major Bitcoin glitch, a technical glitch in the core Bitcoin software that forced developers to call for a temporary halt to Bitcoin transactions, sparking a sharp sell-off. Remember, this was back in 2013. Bitcoin, which is the most decentralized network in the world today, was centralized in the beginning, 2010, 2013. But of course, it has evolved, right? It has grown over time. And now we're going to move over to Ethereum. And again, guys, I'm a huge fan of Ethereum. I like Ethereum. I like Ethereum NFTs. I speak a lot about Ethereum, but we cannot ignore the past. Ethereum today is the second most decentralized network, but in the beginning, it was not. Ethereum was created in 2015, and in 2016, there was something known as the DAO hack. This was a smart contract. It contained a lot of money, and it was hacked. Half the community said, let's reverse the transactions, let's return the funds, and the other half said, no, that's a feature of centralization. Let us just continue the blockchain as is. That lost money is gone forever. So what happened is Vitalik and half the network actually broke off and created Ethereum. The Ethereum that we know today with Vitalik is actually the breakoff, the hard fork. The original Ethereum is Ethereum Classic. These were the early stages of Ethereum, and it was centralized. But of course, here we are now in 2021, and Ethereum is very decentralized. If we have a smart contract hack on Ethereum in 2021 and moving forward, it will not be reversed. It can be reversed. And even right now, as we look at Ethereum as the second most decentralized cryptocurrency, it still has issues. And it's not really Ethereum, but this whole entire market, really outside of Bitcoin, is very experimental. Bitcoin is boring and basic, and that's actually its strength, right? It's not very experimental. This is why it's still #1 on CoinMarketCap. This is why institutions hold Bitcoin, billions of dollars in Bitcoin, because they know that they aren't going to do anything crazy moving forward. But then when we get into these other blockchains, we are so early. Every blockchain will run into issues. Some will run into issues that will totally eliminate that project for good, and many others will run into problems that they'll learn from and improve. Just in August, there was a bug on Ethereum that impacted over 50% of Ethereum clients, which led to a fork. These problems will persist, especially with Ethereum, which again, I'm a huge fan of. We're still on Ethereum 1. We are transitioning to Ethereum 2.0. Don't think for 1 second that there won't be any problems. If we look at CoinMarketCap and all of these projects really outside of Bitcoin, because like we said, Bitcoin is boring, it's not doing anything fancy. All of these projects are super experimental, whether it's Ethereum, Cardano, Binance Coin, Solana, Polkadot, basically everything in this space. So there will be issues moving forward. But the most important thing is that they learn from it. So everything we spoke about right now is from the technical side. But what about the investment side? And when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency in a bull market, people really don't care, right? I think it's something people started to realize this year. In the crypto market, it's not how things should be, but how they actually are. During bull markets, investors will ignore certain problems or certain aspects of centralization in a project as long as they can make gains. This is just how it is during a bull market. I want to give you a good example of Thorchain. Thorchain is a project that's working on cross-chain swaps. Swap Bitcoin for Ethereum, swap Ethereum for Litecoin, but in a decentralized way. And in July, they had a hack and lost $5 million. So what happened to Thorchain, the token? The price tanked. But then shortly after, it started to pick back up. But then only a week later, Thorchain suffered another exploit of $8 million and the price tanked again. So let's look at the chart. This is what Thorchain looked like back in July. It was right here in this range. Now look where we are today. It has risen despite 2 hacks within a week, now sitting at $9.36. Because during these bullish times, people are looking for gains, right? It's, you would think, pretty irrational, right? That something was hacked 2 times, yet very shortly after the price increases. This is what happens during these bullish times. And let's take a look at Binance Smart Chain. Relative to everything else, Binance Smart Chain is pretty centralized. And here it is again. I'm probably going to upset a lot of people that hold BNB. This consensus model for Binance Smart Chain can support a short block time and low fees because it only requires 21 validators to run. Also, to add on top of that, Binance holds a large supply of BNB and they also burn tokens. So aspects of centralization definitely. Yet, Binance has been on fire over the last year, up over 1,200%. During bull markets, investors will ignore certain issues and certain problems as long as there's money to be made. And I know it's not the answer that you want to hear, but it is the truth. I am only being practical with you. So when it comes to Solana, is the party over? And in my opinion, the answer is no, as long as Bitcoin continues to climb and we remain in a bull market. Of course, if Bitcoin tanks and we enter into a bear market, then yes, the party is probably over for Solana, along with everything else in the crypto space. And as we have seen in the past with Ethereum and Bitcoin, it is not really about what happened at those moments in the past, but what happened afterwards and how they were able to fix it. So what happened with Solana is not a good thing. I am not making this video to excuse anything that happened with Solana, right? It's bad. But what happens moving forward is even more important, and whether they can learn from this issue, from this problem, and they can improve and hopefully never have this happen again. But I want to know what you guys think, right? Are these incidents that happen with these blockchains in the early stages, is it an ultimate death sentence, or is it a learning experience that can be forgiven and let these projects improve and last in the future? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.